Can you see this picture here? Can you see this picture here?
Piggies.
Yeah? Well, they're actually sheeps.
Aw.
But it's fine, don't worry about it.
Those are definitely geese.
But what this guy is doing, right? He has blocked off half of this lot, and he asked, or he's forcing the sheep to only graze on this land. And then after all of this is grazed, after most of it is eaten, and during the time they're eating it, they're pooping, they're peeing, and once poop and everywhere is there, they're not going to be eating their own poop, and it's not good. So you don't want to be doing that. So
change the sides.
you change the sides. So it's planned grazing. Planned grazing. That's the key idea.
That's actually good.
It's a good idea. I thought it was a good idea. But there's a bunch of people on the other side going to say, yeah, studies have shown that it's not good. That's fine, I get it. But we're still trying to address the desertification issue. We're trying to address the soil degradation issue. We're trying to make sure that soil is good enough so that we can plant more trees or plant more crops so that we get more vegetation. So one way of addressing overgrazing, where the animals come in and rip off everything, you don't want that, so you just block them off using fences. Okay, that's the crust or at the crux of the idea, and this is what it looks like. You see these tall grasses here on the other side? They blocked it off, and they only left this area open for the cows. And after they've done their work, they're eating and stomping down the grounds. Now there's poop everywhere, and this is fertilizer. And you leave it be, and you move on to the next lot. And you graze. And after you're done with that, they poop all over. You fertilize that land, and you move to the next lot. And you take turns going to different plots so that each plot is getting fertilized. And once you let it be, then it will start shooting up new sprouts, new plantation, new grass, and you can just do the rotation again and again. So you don't have overgrazing. Why? Because it's planned. And it's planned. And if you really want to get into detail, Alan Savory, he says you don't want the cows to be stomping on the ground too much. So 1 to 3 days is the golden number. Yeah, you want a pack of herd of cattle to be eating the grass here and stomping on the ground so that it's somehow packing it in, and using the stomped grass to hold on to the water. So even if rain falls, it won't steep out elsewhere. It won't go flood out elsewhere. It'll stay in the ground. And also using the dung, it will fertilize the soil so you get more microbiomes in the soil. And once after you leave it a few weeks, it will have new grass popping up, and then by the time it's your turn to come here again, then the herd of cattle will come back and start doing the same thing. So you're constantly replenishing the soil. So you're making the soil better, and also you're allowing it for new vegetation to occur. If you leave it like this, the tall grass, this is bad because now all of this is dried up. There's no room for new vegetations to grow, and slowly but surely you are degrading the soil. So how do people address this when they don't have cattle? They burn it. But burning is also another bad. No, they burn the vegetation.
Oh,
Yeah, why would you?
That's
So
evil.
if you want a land to have fresh grass and whatever's occupying there already is old grass, then you have to either chop it all up, right? But it won't be possible for humans to chop this all up, so you have cattle come in and eat it up. But if you don't have that, then you gotta burn it off. But burning it off actually emits more carbon, so it's bad for, yeah, so it's not good. So burning it isn't a good solution. So that's why Alan Savory says the only way to address this is through livestock. And this is going to be the critical component for the pro side. If done right, and there are cases to prove it, there are farms to prove it, there are, there's a case study in Egypt called Sikkim, and they basically built a Garden of Eden in the desert of Egypt. And when the dude first started out, everybody thought he was crazy. It's like, you're gonna build a farm in a desert? But he did, and it's a big industry now, it's a big company now, and they're producing organic food, organic clothing, organic everything, and it's a big business. So it can be done.
What do you mean by like organic?
Very good question. Organic means that you are not using any chemical fertilizers. The reason why organic farming became such an important key word is that these farmers and these people were concerned about the soil degradation coming from chemical fertilizers. If you're spraying onto your field stuff that was originally used to kill people and gas people, how is that going to do to the soil? It will degrade it. And the more you use it, it's no good. So monoculture is no good because they're not going to be using organic fertilizers. They're not going to be using organic pesticides or herbicides. They're going to have to rely upon cheap chemical fertilizers. And the more and more you use it, the more soil degradation you are causing. But also, you are separating the livestock from the farm where it's supposed to be a symbiotic thing. You take the cow dung, put it, spray onto the field, and that fertilizes the soil, so you get better crops, or you get more vegetation, and you take that vegetation and feed it to the livestock, and you go back and forth. That was the original deal. But because it's so labor intensive, because you require so much human labor, and it's very hard, very laborious, they thought, okay, why don't we just use all these tanks, these machineries that we have from the War, and just put it onto the fields and start, having a wider range. We can scale up. We can have hectares and hectares of land with very few people and just these big machines. We can harvest a lot. But the caveat is you can't grow multiple crops. You can only grow one. Only grow one. So, yeah.
Are we also doing like the mini questioning today?
Tomorrow, because we're done in 10 minutes. Yeah.
Last week we had.
I know, but this topic is just so much to talk about, and it's such a heavy topic. And whoever recommended this, like, you had to come in. Like, somebody said, can we do something about vegetarianism? Like, it's a big topic. It's a big topic, but sure, let's do it. So I had to make it as digestible to you guys as possible. But knowing these key concepts is super important. Okay. So just doing a quick recap. Everybody understands that having good soil is important. Even the UN says it, right? And we don't have much left. Desertification is dangerous because it rips people of their culture, their livelihood, and it creates more violence. So nobody wants that. Nobody. We want to make sure we are reducing desertification by making sure any water that's being dropped onto the land stays there and is helping out with the microbiomes and making sure the plants can grow. This is the map of soil degradation throughout the world, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse. It's a serious concern. And what you have to understand about soil quality is that it's not just putting in chemicals and saying, oh, it works. No. There's a bunch of mini lives, mini organisms that are living inside the soil that makes the soil good. That if you want to have quality soil, you need to make sure you have good, healthy, vibrant, diverse microbiome living inside that soil. Unless you have that, the soil is dead. Okay? What Alan Avery is saying, the only way to do it is through livestock. There's no other way. There's no other way. So that's going to be the pro side argument. And you watching this documentary will definitely help you with your argumentation, no doubt. Okay?